Alright, so finally let's get into this. Today I am starting a new playlist. This is finally me getting into documenting my journey with this. I've been meaning to make this for weeks and I just do not know where to start because as this playlist and this whole journey is going to be the journey to perfect health as the title of this document. There's been already so much that happened, stuff that I have been able to improve in, stuff that gotten worse over the last 5 years. I thought I would finally get to a point where I can summarize all the main highlights, what happened in the last 5 years, and then put it up. But I realized that's not gonna happen, right? It's just gonna stop me from being able to document this. So before I get into this first video, a little blurb on why am I documenting this, right? One of my conditions is that I can't speak a lot. So why, as somebody who can't speak, wants to make videos on YouTube for no reason? And the reason is because, and it's really the same reason I started this channel in the first place, is I wanted to have a place where I can keep my pulse, my thoughts and put it up there. And it forces me to think through what's going on in a way, so it's a chronological manner. So I'm not just out there thinking everything. Journaling helps with this, but I think personally video is a better form. So again, this is me documenting, going back to, it's just what Shivka does, what's going on in Shivka's life type thing. And right now, this is the highlight. Okay, let's get into it. So the first part in this video, I'll talk about some very high level overview, no in depth, right? And this was difficult for me to do, right? I want to write pages about this, but I just want to keep it very high level at what are some of the things that I'm going to be diving more deep into, right? So if you watched my video in the past, you've seen that I've put up where I went to over 37 doctors, 7 different departments, complete different departments, like for stomach to lungs, multiple doctors for each section, stuff like that. Nothing was found. They can't really diagnose it until I found more like a holistic doctor for spiritual. Well, one of them is more like spiritual healing, and then he does holistic, and another one is actually like a doctor who's not anything to do with spiritual, and this is the person I'm working with currently. So it took a long time for me to get this kind of diagnosis, and finally it falls under the umbrella of an autoimmune condition. And the funny thing is, once you know the name, and then I joined a lot of these groups, which I'll talk about in this playlist, most people, they say that it took them more, on average, more than 10 years to find out their condition. So just shows how difficult it is to find health problems that are unique in our society right now. All right, so let's get into it. This is a brainstorm. Early life, middle school life, so it's I just call it early teens, and then this late teens, I just call it high school, right? So let's go with my early life. And this is, super personal, but hopefully it lets, it really, puts it into perspective where my thoughts are going to be going from as this expands out. So sinus. Since I'm a kid, since I was very young, I had a sinus issue, right? I had a runny nose for about a decade. Every day, all year round. It's not seasonal or anything. I was known, I grew up in a village, like a rural village in my country, Bangladesh. And apparently I was known as the booger boy or something like that when I was a toddler. And that's something that just never got checked into, right? Once I became apparently over age 10, that kind of went away and it was never addressed. So that's one of the biggest things I think needs to be fully addressed at some time. That's why I highlighted it, because a lot, as much as we don't like to admit this, the foundation of health is genetics, right? Of course, we can do so much, and there's so much that happens to us because of our diet and how we live and all that stuff. But the foundation is genetics. That's just something I realized that you can't argue with. There's people who I know that an example on YouTube is that old YouTuber Shoe Nice, who would be eating like glue for fun. Like this guy takes literally glue and eats it, and he eats like crazy shit like plastic and stuff because he has like such a powerful digestive system, whatever it may be. That shit is genetic. For the average person, if they did that, they could die, right? Now, I'm showing two extremes, but in between lies all the stuff we can do to improve. And for the average person, most of the stuff you're going to be doing is like, diet, health, exercise, meditation, these kind of like foundational things. But when you have some kind of weird anomalies, we can't just rule out foundational problems like this and just say like, oh, that was in childhood. You have to revisit a lot of this. So that's why I have this section. So sinus, bone density problems, right? This didn't really show an early age, but this should be probably in middle school. But basically, I broke my arm twice. I broke my nose. I fractured my shin in multiple places. And these are in car accidents where I had multiple friends, right? When I was like age, I don't know, middle school is like what? 13 to 16. I got in a few accidents from like everything from like, car falling from bikes and stuff like that, everything in between. And I broke, my bones quite easily, seemingly, compared to my friends. So it's not really something that I can highlight because it's a little bit harder to address. And more importantly, even if I was to address it, so far from what it looks like, things with bone density is like a long-term approach, meaning the solution would be something like take some multivitamin on the bullshit level. And then if I was to go higher end, it's still going to be some passive thing. But something like sinus, the solution could be potentially some kind of surgery, right? So that's why it's more higher up, in the, like I highlighted it. Single mother trauma, right? So my dad left me before I turned 1 year old. And in my country, in every country, but in my country, in the third world country, it's very difficult to raise a kid when you're a single mother. And I am sure there's some sort of trauma after reading certain books. I'm sure there's some sort of trauma from that. It's probably like the lowest scale out of the things I want to talk about that I can point to for my health conditions. And in my side of the world, even speaking about something like this would be like taboo because it's like white people's problems. But with my type of condition, I can't again rule out anything. So after I go through main things in this journey, one of the last things I want to explore is therapy or solutions for trauma at early age. And for most people, from what it's known, most trauma happen before the age of 2. Before you're like fully even conscious what the hell is going on, that's when the trauma sets in and it dictates the rest of your life. When you cave into certain parts, when you're scared about certain things, and depending on how long it is gone that is not addressed and the experiences you go through, those kind of cavings can affect the physical, your physical health, right? That's the reason why it's on the list. I don't really mind if I'm like scared to approach certain people or like some kind of like twitch I have. It's fine. I have bigger problems than that. So that's how I'm going about brainstorming this out. Second part, middle school, start of drug use. Not a big drug user, but smoking every day. It was just part of what everybody does in my in my country, and really like most third world countries, the kids don't really have much stuff to do, and that's what there's no really way to explain this. I'll get more into it for the drug use in high school, but one thing I will mention is malnourishment. And what I had was kind of like an eating disorder, which again, there's no term for it for these kind of things in my country, so nobody really points it out. But I would eat like one small meal, sometimes every other day, for a couple of years in middle school, right? While I had this whole part-time job with smoking, not really drinking at that point, but smoking, shisha and marijuana, really those two. I would not eat much. When I would come home, finally after all that, so after school that would be my routine, and then like I would come home and stuff, I would not really eat, and I would play video games. This is an addicting game, popular, called RuneScape, from like around evening till like about 2 to 3 a.m. at night. And then I would try to get up for school and have trouble, not eat anything, and then I would probably eat something in lunchtime in school because I have to sit down in front of like other people, like, and when we go to lunch, so I'd like probably bite on something, and then right after the lunch I'd quickly go play my video games before class starts until same routine again. Point is, kind of had some kind of malnourishment, and the way my mom had to combat it at that point is she would give me rice with sugar on it, and that's it, because I like sweets so much, right? I love chocolate most of my life. I mean, I still love chocolate, but I can't eat it anymore. But there's some kind of malnourishment of age, like let's say 12 to, let's say like 16, somewhere in the, like 12 to 16. In high school it became better because I had to leave to boarding school where each meal you would have to go and sit down with like people, and you have to go. There's like, if you don't go, there's people who come looking for you and shit. So that was good. It forced me to fix a lot of that shit. But it's worth mentioning. All right, now comes high school. Drug use was a lot more heavy, right? It's binge drug use, so it wasn't every day I could smoke because it's a boarding school, but in the weekends when we would get out, it would be binging. And it wasn't just marijuana and some simple shit. It was all kinds of substances that everybody was taking, and a lot of people got messed up in our circle of friends. But again, I probably am in the top 3 in terms of messed upness. It's a little hard to put a number on it because some people are more like they're in rehab, in and out, and they have like the chronic drug abuse, addiction that goes on, and some to this day. Well, while I became, what the conditions I have now, which is pretty much, what's going to be shown right here. So, again, it's very worth mentioning, especially with a few overdoses I got. And by overdose, I only counted, if you had to be hospitalized that same night because of the drug use, not the American term where like, oh yeah, your percentage of your body is above what it should, like, where you're like way intoxicated, you're like very drunk. No, like hospitalized, could have died if they didn't take care of you, that kind of stuff. But then comes the most important part, which is TBI, traumatic brain injury. And I had 3 motorcycle accidents in high school. One of them is the most notable one in everything I said. That is when I, had an accident, I landed on my head, and that was that. It went to a local thing that to stitch it up real quick, and that's all I thought it was. But since that day, I started to become pretty much everything that's going to be laid out here. Like since that day, it's like more than half the problems came in. They were in its infancy stage, but I started to feel it. I couldn't smoke anymore. Not like have trouble and I'm like coughing, not like the normal smoke. I mean like literally one puff would get me suffocating. I couldn't like grasp for air. So it's very strange. And yeah, so TBI. This is the one I highlighted. And this is the one I'm going to start with in this journey of trying to explore, of Journey to Perfect Health. Okay, 14 minutes in. Let's see if I should mention these things in the video, or I'll make a separate one. To be able to speak without head pain. I'll quickly mention it. So I just took this directly out of the plan that we're following with my current doctor, and basically these are like the goals I want to get to. There's about 17 issues that is well documented, which we were trying to tweak with, but these are the top 5, right? Be able to speak without head pain. Like you see, it's about 15 minutes. I'm starting to get a pressure in my head now, which is another reason why I'm going to make videos shorter from now on, and definitely under 20 minutes. So Be able to speak without head pain. Try to first understand what is the connection between like breath when somebody speaks. Why is it that I'm getting this pressure in my head? Understand and then go into solutions. Use a computer without hand pain, right? For a long time, I thought I had carpal tunnel. And I went for doctors and doctors. In the last session in 2019, I put a video about this. I went to doctor, they did a test for carpal tunnel and they didn't find anything. And just like every other doctor, they always go like, oh, okay, this is probably just like you're using the like you're clicking too much and stuff like that. Could be. I'm in front of the computer a lot, but the point is, it's at a point now where some days I can't put the password of my computer. Actually, it's not that bad currently right now, but in 2019, I had an episode where I literally I couldn't click. I couldn't use my phone. I couldn't put the code for my phone to open it. I just had to be still. Like I couldn't do anything. So I didn't know what the hell is going on until my recent doctor. I found that this condition, it spreads to different parts of your body. With all that stuff I'll cover later, but basically it's like your body cells attacking itself and stuff like that. And I see it's spreading to my feet and stuff, things like that. But I'm more, if I have to choose feet or the hands, I'll be choosing hands. So that's why it's in the top 5. Be able to eat foods with healthy fats. Currently, I can't use a drop of oil in any of my food. And I've been like this for a long time, but now it's gotten to the point where I can't even eat an avocado. Eating an avocado, I go insane. My heartbeat goes off, like I can't sleep from chest pains. It's pretty insane. So I need to figure out a way to get fat in my body. And this is something I've kind of brushed under the rug because I just eliminated the amount of my diet more and more. But this current doctor said that if we can get fat in your body and be able to open that up, it's going to be very dangerous for me to keep going, because in his calculation I'm going to keep getting worse if I can't solve this single problem. So my doctor thinks this is the biggest issue, right? Yeah, so that's worth pointing. Be free of shortness of breath. That's pretty much, I get really winded, right? Even if I I can't really jog, and this is one of my goals that I put here, right? I want to be able to go back to the gym and at least be able to jog, be able to run, because I get really winded and dizzy and I start to pass out. And again, there's no type of test that showed anything. I got MRIs multiple times from different angles of my brain. What is it that is not reaching? But with my recent doctor, he said it is a circulation problem where oxygen isn't able to not reach my brain effectively or efficiently. It's having trouble. So that's in a nutshell the things I want to fix, and this is my high level overview of where it stands from. So there we go. This is the first video. The next part, we're gonna get into the actions I'm taking. My diet is already, you could say, pretty restrictive. I don't do anything that is unhealthy by anything in a normal standard. I live pretty healthy right now. Discipline-wise, probably healthier than I've ever been, but conditions are worse than, they just keep getting worse, right? So the actions I'm going to be pointing out in the next video next weekend, let's say, is going to be what I'm going to be doing. Now, okay, 2 minutes, 1 minute for 20 minutes. I got 4 books that I'm going to be getting in. Actually, now I'm getting into too much information for this video. Yeah, I'll leave it at this, and yeah, let's see.